Welcome to the Heated Waves podcast. I am Mr. Bradley. Today we're talking football, but first I'm here with my buddy, my bro, my better half of the show, my co-host, T-Ball.
What's up, YouTubers? Glad to be here bringing you some Week 9 picks. We are halfway through the season, guys. The return of Kareem Hunt might be on the way. We should start to get a little interesting here in this season. Gonna start it off first, Mr. Bradley, with the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars.
But first, we're going to do recap of last week. As of last week, you were beating me 56-34-1. I was 53-37-1, down 3 games. Had my worst week last week of picking. It changed this week. I had my best week of picking. Went 12-3. You went 11-4. Moving on to, so overall, my bad, overall, that puts us, you at 67-38-1, and I am 65-40-1. So I'm down 2 games. 2 games. Like you said, halfway through the season. I'm sorry, let's roll into week 9 and see what picks we can get right and what we can get wrong so I can come back.
The first game we have for you guys is the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This will be Deshaun Watson's 4th time against the Jags. He has a 3-0 career record versus them. With the Texans being 5-3, Jacksonville Jaguars being 4-4, this is a division game. I don't think home field advantage is really a factor for the Jaguars here in this one, since they've been a little wishy-washy over the last little bit of time here. I had to take Houston in this one. I just think Houston has Jacksonville's number, and Jacksonville is just not that good. Deshaun Watson's still looking pretty sharp for a 5-3 Houston Texans team. So
I'm going to have to go the opposite way, flip a pillow in the script. I got the Jags in this one because their last 3 games, they are holding opponents to 15 points per game, under 300 yards per game, and 7 takeaways. Going back to their first 5 games, they were giving up 24 points a game, almost 400 yards a game, and only had 2 takeaways. I think the defense is finally coming around. This is a game in which if they beat the Texans, they will be tied with them and looking at second place behind the Colts. So give me the Jags. I just think it's a little bit better. You can't keep, even winners got to lose sometime. Like you're saying, Deshaun Watson's 3-0 against the Jags in his career. But it's in London, so I think the Jags will get it. Next game is the Redskins, who are 1-7, going into the Bills at 5-2, in which, like I said, the Bills dropped that game to the Eagles last week, man. But Bills have won 6 of the last 7 games versus Redskins. I'm going to go out here, and I'm just going to say the Bills are going to win this game because they're going to be pissed off from that loss last week. They got to keep pace with the Patriots. And the Redskins are just trash, man. They are just trash. 1 win in 8 weeks. They might as well just go for draft picks at this point. So give me the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills and Redskins. This one was kind of easy for me. The Bills going into the Redskins. I have the Bills taking this one. The Redskins just suck. The Redskins have not scored a touchdown in over their last 9 quarters of play. So it's just not looking good for the Redskins in this one. They're going to stay a 1-win team this week, and the Bills are going to come in and get themselves back into a place where they can be a contender again. 5-2 is not a bad record, but they're still kind of low in the power rankings there. So give me the Bills in this one. So the next game we got for you guys is the Titans at the Panthers. Titans are 4-4, Panthers are 4-3. This might be a pretty close game. Tennessee has allowed fewer than 25 points in each game this season. So that's saying a lot for their defense this year. The Panthers got a pretty good defense. It just seems that this was probably the toughest one for me. But with Carolina doing like Carolina does at home, I had to go ahead and take Carolina in this one.
Man, this is a tough game to pick. Carolina's surprisingly still above 500 at 4-3, but Tennessee is just right there at the mix of 4-4. They've lost some stupid games, but beat some good teams. I'm just not sure, honestly, who to pick. Look, Christian McCaffrey is just a baller. He leads the NFL in scrimmage yards per game with 154 this season. He's on fire. He's always going to do well. Titans actually have pretty good defense. They're holding teams under 20 points per game, so if that defense can hold strong, and the Panthers got raped last week, so they're looking for a win this week. Man, I don't know. It seems like the Panthers they should have won that game last week, or at least kept it close with the 49ers, but then they just fucked it up, and I don't know. I think I'll pick the Panthers too, kind of stay on the safe side at home. Titans are kind of, yeah, they're just not trustworthy at times. So I'll take the Panthers as well. All right, next game is the Vikings, 6-2, coming off another win. Chiefs getting beat by our Green Bay Packers at 5-3. They're at home. Still, we don't know for sure if Patrick Mahomes is going to play. Still haven't heard really nothing yet. Kirk Cousins is 5-0 versus non-NFC North opponents this season. They could get this win. Man, Matt Moore played like a beast last week. Andy Reid is just a genius back there. This is another tough game. I think this is going to be the game of the week if Matt Moore plays like he did last week, unless Patrick Mahomes gets put in there. But I just don't see you putting him in there. I think you should rest him. I think if the Chiefs can hang with the Packers like they did, and I think the Packers, not being biased, look at my clothes, I know, is just a better offensive team than the Vikings right now. The Vikings are just solely on defense right now, what's keeping them in ball games. But I think the Chiefs can get this one done at home, even if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play, as long as their team played like they did last week and they do a bunch of screen passes, because they're the best in the NFL at doing that. So, T-Ball?
Yeah, it's weird to say. Unfortunately, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to actually take Minnesota in this one. All three of the Chief losses this season have been at home. Kansas City has 3 losses at home in a single season for the first time since 2013. So they don't lose at home much, but like I said, all 3 losses this season have come at home. So I don't think home field advantage is much of a factor for Kansas City, with them not having Patrick Mahomes and the Vikings just being on a roll like they are. Stephon Diggs has accounted for 35.4% of the Vikings receiving yards this season, so look for him to be a major threat. Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in passing yards per attempt. So, I mean, the Vikings are on a roll right now, so give me the Vikings to beat Kansas City this week. I hate the Vikings too, bub, but they're just way too hot right now, and Kansas City without Patrick Mahomes, you can definitely tell Patrick Mahomes is a huge factor in Kansas City because they're not winning without him. So,
and when he is injured with the high ankle sprain before he even dislocated his knee, they were losing. So when he's not 100%, they don't win. Okay, next game is going to be just a lame of the week. It's the Jets at the Dolphins. T-Ball, you want to take a stab at this one first?
I guess. I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets just because I think, the Dolphins have won 3 consecutive games versus the Jets. The Jets have Le'Veon Bell, and the Dolphins have... I don't know. I just feel like the Jets are just a better football team. 1 win better, at least. The Dolphins have allowed 2 passing touchdowns in each game this season, so their defense sucks. Le'Veon Bell does have fewer than 100 rushing yards in each game this season, so maybe this is the end of his drought. Maybe he puts up like 200 on the Dolphins right here, so we'll have to see. But, yeah, give me the Jets in this one.
Actually, I like the Dolphins to get their very first win of the year. I said they're the worst team in the NFL. They are. But the Jets just let up. I don't know. How did they beat the Cowboys? I don't know if that was just pure luck, but maybe they should have no wins as well. But look, the Jets are scoring 11.1 points per game, and the Dolphins are scoring 11.0 points per game. And they have the bottom 2 scoring offenses in the NFL. This is going to be a boring-ass game. Just pathetic. But I think the Dolphins are going to slip this one out and get a win at home, their first win. And then I'm going to laugh because I'm going to be like, wow, Jets beat you Cowboys, and they lost to the worst team in the NFL. So, moving on.
So the next game we got is the Bears at Eagles. The surprising 3-4 Bears against a 4-4 Eagles. Carson Wentz, Philadelphia, fewer than 200 passing yards in 4 of the last 5 games. He's just not looking very well. I'm going to play the safe route, and I'm going to go ahead and go with the Eagles because I don't see the Bears getting it done offensively against the Eagles. They're just not finding their niche in the offense. Their defense is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bears got a great defense if it's still not the top in the league, but their offense cannot produce anything. They're just not looking good right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles this week.
Yes, I like the Eagles as well. To piggyback off you, The Bears' defense is phenomenal. Last 3-4 years, they're number 6 in the league, but their offense is ranked at 28th. When I was just reading it a couple days ago, and I don't think that's going to handle it very well when the Eagles went in there and beat a just as good defensive team, Buffalo, as the Bears have. And Eagles are at home this week, and they need to stay in this. And maybe this game is right here where they put them out ahead of the Cowboys if the Cowboys lose this week, since they were on a bye last week. So I like the Eagles as well. I think they can get this done against a Bears team that has no offense, solely defense. And you can't just keep winning games off defense. You got to put some offense out there, and they're not going to.
Yeah, check this out. The Bears are only averaging 198.3 passing yards per game. The 3 teams with fewer passing yards per game, Miami, Washington, and the New York Jets.
Wow.
Those 3 teams are combined for a record of 2-20. So that's a big reason for my Eagles pick this week.
Next game, Colts 5-2 going to the Steelers, who came off a win last week and on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. Wow. And scraped by them by a couple touchdowns or whatever. But I'm just going to come out right now and say the Colts are going to win this game. They're going to just whoop the Steelers. It's going to be hard to win in Pittsburgh, but I believe the Colts can get this game easily. I mean, Pittsburgh has won 5 straight versus Indy, but that was with Big Ben. Okay, they don't have him, and they're just not getting it clicking. They're like a second-half team this year. I really like the Colts here. Jacoby Brissett's going to get it done. They're 5-2. They blew me away this year at 5-2, so I like the Colts.
Yeah, but the Steelers are 0-4 versus teams that are currently 500 or above this season. 3-0 versus teams with losing records. T.Y. Hilton has not had a 100-yard receiving game since Week 16 of 2018. He has been a little absent. The Colts are 5-2, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 3-4, are at home. But I feel like the Colts should be able to pull this one out. The Steelers have a 17-sack differential this season, tied for the highest in the NFL with New England. So the Steelers defensively, I don't know. They're a polished turd. So I think Indianapolis should have this one wrapped up. So the next game we got for you guys is the Detroit Lions versus the Oakland Raiders. Lions 3-1, Raiders 3-4. Raiders allowed 8 passing touchdowns in the last 2 games. It's not looking good for them over the last 2 weeks. Mr. Bradley, who you got in this one?
I actually like the Raiders in this game. I didn't pick them last week, but I'm going to pick them this week. The last time they played was preseason, so it doesn't matter. We get that. But the Lions are allowing 300 passing yards per game, which would be the most allowed in a full season by Detroit since 1960. They are a good defensive team, but they are just giving up so many yards. And the Raiders being at home, I love when teams have to go play the Raiders because them fans are amazing. But I think this will be a bounce-back week for the Raiders. They're going to get it done. The Lions are not as good as everybody thinks. They really aren't. That's shown. But the Raiders just look hungry, and they need to stay in this race. If they keep winning and Chiefs keep losing, man, this could be a close race at the end. And I think that's what the Raiders are going to do. Raiders will be second in this division. Count on that. So give me the Raiders.
It just might be close at the end because Matthew Stafford has had a fourth quarter comeback and game-winning drive in each of his 2 career games versus the Raiders. So, in the 2 times that we've seen Matthew Stafford play against the Raiders, he's had a fourth quarter comeback in each of those 2 games. I've got the Lions in this one. The Lions are going to take this one, like I assumed, in the fourth quarter at the end, either by a game-winning drive or a field goal with a couple seconds left. Shouldn't be too exciting of a game, but yeah, definitely give me the Lions in this one. Okay, next game we got for you guys is the Buccaneers going in Seattle, taking on that 12th man. Pretty easy pick for me. Seattle Seahawks are 6-2, Bucs are 2-5. Jameis Winston has 12 interceptions this season. Russell Wilson, I believe, only has 1. The Seahawks are just on fire right now. Russell Wilson's 62 career passer rating versus Tampa Bay is the lowest versus any opponent. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have the most combined receiving yards and receiving touchdowns by a duo this season. But with all that being said, I still think the Seattle Seahawks take this one pretty easy. You can't go wrong with Russell the Hustle. He is in the MVP votes right now. So
Absolutely behind my boy, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. But yes, Seahawks it is for me too. Yeah, the Bucks are scoring 32 points per game since week 3, most in the NFL, but that's only because they're playing some shit teams and teams that don't really have a defense. But they got a good little squad over there, a couple wide receivers, Godwin, like you said, and of course Mike Evans. But other than that, outside of that, they got no defense. That's what shows and reflects on the record at 2-5. Seahawks take this game at home by at least 2 scores. Next game is Browns at Broncos. Flacco, your boy, went down on injured reserve for the year. Bye-bye, thank God. Don't even know who the next guy in line is. Not very good. Doesn't matter. They have nobody. The guy's never even, I looked him up earlier. I can't remember his name, but he's never even thrown a pass in the NFL. Give me the Browns in this game. They have to win this game. They got to turn it around. It's just terrible how the Browns played last week against the Patriots. And they're traveling again. That's tough to do. But I think the Browns, this is a good bounce-back week to go 3-5 on the year. Browns.
I think you're right, Mr. Bradley. The Broncos have won the last 11 of 12 games versus the Browns, but the Browns are a different ball club this year. They're doing a lot more things different. They've got more wins this year than they've had in the last 4 almost. But, give me the Browns with the Broncos just having quarterback issues. I think Joe Flacco was really the only thing that they had going for them, which wasn't really even much. Eat my words there, but... I think the Browns go into Mile High, and they take this one right out from under them.
Yep.
Next game we got for you guys, the Packers versus the San Diego Chargers. Packers 7-1. San Diego Chargers are 3-5 this year. Chargers 7 possession games this season, tied most in the NFL. Mr. Bradley, I'm going to throw this one over to you. Who you think?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm wearing the gear. You know I'm picking the Packers. They're on fucking fire this year. Rodgers gets to go to California, where he's from, where he's played. He is just going to come in there and steamroll again. Look, even without Devontae Adams, he's actually averaging more passing yards, over 300 yards a game, 3 touchdowns a game, and over 100 quarterback rating. Even before that, whenever they had him, he was not throwing all those numbers. They're rolling. Everybody had a problem with them at the beginning of the year, like, oh, him and a new coach just can't get it done. Well, now we're at the midway point, and they have been rolling for the last 4 weeks on this run game and our running backs in general catching balls. They had 4 touchdowns last week. So give me the Packers easily. Chargers are just looking not very good. They escaped the Bears last week because they missed a fucking 40-something yard field goal, or they would have lost that game by 2. So Packers all day on that one. Come on now.
Yeah, I got the Packers in this one as well. I think it'll only be a 1-touchdown ball game. Look for Aaron Jones to probably put up a couple TDs in this one. He actually has 11 scrimmage touchdowns this season, which is the most in the NFL. The Packers are just looking really good. Aaron Rodgers has a 132.5 career passer rating versus the Chargers, second highest versus his single opponents. So it looks good for him in this situation. He loves that California weather. I think the Green Bay Packers turned that record into 8-1 this week. So, of course, give me Green Bay.
All right, Sunday Night Football is the Patriots 8-0. Of course, they haven't played nobody. Going in and playing the Ravens in Baltimore. Ravens are 10-0 at home in primetime games since 2011. T-Ball, do you want me to give it to you first? This is going to be the game that tests the Patriots' defense because they haven't actually had an offense like this. I think this is going to be a phenomenal game, possibly the game of the week. It probably is since it's going to be on Sunday night. But T-Ball?
Yeah, this should be the game of the week. The Patriots' defense has 19 interceptions and have only allowed 2 passing touchdowns this season. So if the Ravens want to get this win, they're going to have to really grind it out. Lamar Jackson's going to have to basically do everything in this. Hope that defense stays strong. Mark Ingram, has fewer than 75 rushing yards in 4 straight games. So he's going to need to pick up the pace. Obviously Tom Brady's going to do his thing. They're going to come out, probably score right off the bat. That's usually what the Patriots do. But I think the Patriots going into Baltimore are going to lose their first game this week. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Baltimore.
Wow, dude, that's my pick too. I have to pick them because Lamar Jackson is 11-3 as a starter since week 11 of last year. Tom Brady and Russell Wilson are the only other quarterbacks with more wins in that span. Baltimore's at home. They have been rolling. They're 5-2. They have a phenomenal defense. So many great players. Lamar Jackson, yeah, he doesn't throw for a lot of yards, but he is playing very well. He really is. This was a great pickup by them in the draft a few years ago. And this, like I said, they're going to be tested this week, and this will be the first loss the Patriots have, just like you said. They're going to get tested, I promise you. They're not going to just look this phenomenal team like they were. If the Browns wouldn't have fucked up last week on their 3 possessions in a row where they turned it over, that could have been a totally different ballgame. They only beat the Browns by 14, and they don't even have an offense and defense like this team does. Ravens.
So our Monday Night Football for you is going to be the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. Going into New York here, the Cowboys are on pace for the most total yards per game in franchise history at 437.9. Could possibly break that. Got to look for Zeke to do his thing, Prescott to do his thing. Daniel Jones getting the start over there. Saquon, I think, is back this week. Saquon is back, so that might be the difference maker in this one, but I'm still going to go with the better of the teams, and I'm going to choose the Dallas Cowboys. New York, 2-6 right now, and they're allowing 25-plus points in the last 7 games this season, which is the most in the NFL. So defensively, New York just doesn't have what it takes to stop Dallas.
Well, I like the Giants. This is going to be a fucking test of their will. I can promise you that. Look, and the reason why I say that is because, one, we have 2 great running backs. Saquon is just always beast. He beasted last week, and he's going against Elliott, and which is always a beast too. Dallas is coming off a bye week, so that does help quite a bit. But him and Daniel Jones, Prescott and Jones, are right there neck and neck. I just think it's going to come down to, like you said, the run game, and I think Saquon's going to do a little bit better than that. If the Jets can come in there and beat the Cowboys, why the hell can't the Giants when they have a way better team than the fucking Jets do, in my opinion, offensively? So I like the Giants for this upset. And that is Monday Night Football. That is our Week 9 picks. I love it. I love it. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different picks. So it could give me a chance to bounce back and come out ahead of you this week in the standings with you up 2 games.
Yeah, this could be the swinger here. I mean, I noticed we picked a couple different ones here in this. We'll see what happens. I still think I'm going to stay on top for the rest of the season here. I should coast the rest of the way. But we'll find out. Yeah, those are our Week 9 picks. Like I said, we're halfway through. It's getting exciting. We're going to see what happens the rest of the way. Here in the Heated Wave studio on the Heated Waves podcast, I'm your boy T-Ball bringing you those Week 9 picks. Mr. Bradley?
Absolutely. I'm Mr. Bradley. Like you said, it's the second half of the season. This is where it gets interesting. This is when we're talking to playoffs here soon. Here in 4 or 5 weeks, who's going to make it, who's not. And this is the Heated Waves podcast. Thanks for sticking with us today. Hope you like our picks. I'm sure some of them you'll be like, well, no, we don't like it because that's not our team. You picked against our team. Oh, well, it happens. If you don't like it, give us some feedback. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below and hit the notification if you haven't already. And we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and peace out.